What's up, guys? Today on Conversations with Artists, I'm here today with Sheldon Universe. He is a drummer and a producer and a singer, and he just released his song Poor Boy, which has got over like 4,000 views already.
8,000.
8,000. Wow, 8,000 listens.
2 days.
In 2 days. It's crazy, man. I'm so proud of you. Yeah. So today we're having a discussion, and we're going to be talking about mental health and just about the life of an artist.
I'm here singing, songwriting, producing music for other artists and myself. I've done a lot of events, creating shows and festivals, and some of those things have allowed me to meet so many new people, which is why I love doing it. I love working in teams, so that's kind of where I find the connection. And yeah, my latest song "Poor Boys" just released, and like you said, 8,760 something views in 2 days, and I didn't do anything but post it just organically. So I'm really excited about that. Basically, I'm here to share some light on what's been in my life. In the mental health realm and in work, violence in the city, and things that are important to me. So thank you for having me.
And I'd like to jump into that right away. As you're an artist, right? And you have to create, and you are the product, right? Mm-hmm. You're a drummer. You're on demand. There's a lot of demand on you, right? And a lot of pressure on you sometimes that you need to create, and maybe some days you're not always on. Right. So what are some of the things that help you to show up when it's so difficult?
A lot of times it's hard to come up with something new that's inspiring. In fact, sometimes I'm looking at my catalog, and I've got hundreds and hundreds of songs I've made on my computer and just on instruments. But sometimes they're reflective of the mood I'm in, and I could be tired or just low energy and just sappy sometimes and sad. So a lot of the songs I create are in that mood. And then when I want to show up for like a concert that's exciting and dancing and lots of fun, I'm like, oh, I don't have any songs that I can do because all my songs are like, oh, I'm sad and blah blah blah. In terms of inspiration, the cool thing about music can capture any mood. From happy to sad to angry to scared to think of a movie. There's like soundtracks, and there can be a soundtrack for almost any scene. And sometimes silence is the perfect thing as well. So sometimes I find when I don't create a long time and there's just silence around me, somehow it sort of forms, it creates, and I say that it almost sounds a little hippie-ish, or like, ooh, something appears, but it does. It really does. Is from nothing comes something. All of a sudden you can use, like right now I have a mug on the side of me here. That picture right there, or that mug, instigates something in my head where I'm thinking cup of love, cup of something, and then boom, something will trigger. And of course melodic things, so if I'm touching an instrument, that's always helpful. A little guitar sound or a keyboard sound, a drum pattern, these are all things that just influence me in creating.
I noticed that sometimes we don't have that creative juice within us, or that mental block or a moment, and as soon as we just sit down and just start, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just starts flowing. Like we just start, because what I've noticed for myself when I create is that I want to focus on the message and nothing else, right? Mm-hmm. I want to focus on the message, on what it is that I'm doing. Why am I doing this, right? Who is it for, and how will it help another person? Right. Yeah. And it's like, maybe I don't feel ready, or maybe I'm in a state of mind that's just not in the mood for doing any stuff, but I have a responsibility and I have a commitment to myself and to whatever it is that I want to serve the world with. Right. So as soon as I sit down and I just start going, it just starts flowing. And it's crazy like that. Like it's amazing. It's like as if it's coming from somewhere else.
Yeah, and Michael Jackson always used to say, "It's coming from the source. It's coming from up high." I definitely believe in that. And so your purpose there is message, right? Really getting your message across. If you can envision where your music's being heard, that helps to create. So sometimes when you think about, like for example, if I'm thinking about a person listening to the song on headphones while sitting on a go bus traveling from their school to home or back and forth. Then I'm thinking about a song that kind of fits that mood while they're sitting there. If I'm thinking about a stage show with lights and flashing lights and drums and pyrotechnics, all of a sudden now I hear a different sound in my head, and dancers, and like all these different things really help to shape what kind of song I'm creating. If I'm thinking about radio, the purpose is usually always helpful to guide you. But sometimes I find that, especially in creation, you can go one way, and then next thing you know, it just throws you a completely opposite direction, and then you realize something came out of something was completely different. And that's happened to me many times in creating.
Yeah.
I've created something like slow and melodic, and then all of a sudden I hear something in there. I'm like, whoa, that could be a totally different song, and that's this. And then next thing you know, you have a full-blown production of something else.
No, 100%.
Sounds make a big difference.
So one of the biggest tools that I use to help positively cope with mental health, and to keep my spirits high and all this stuff is music. For example, when I walk into a clinic or a hospital, right, and I know that the appointment's going to be difficult or hard, and I'm always like, in a hospital, you're surrounded by fear, right? There's fear in a clinic. There's fear with the doctors because that's their job, is to say it what it is, what's on paper, and like they don't know what you're going through really unless they really ask, right? Mm-hmm. So a lot of times when I go to appointments that I know are going to be difficult and they're not going to be hard or challenging, whatever, I put my headphones on and I just blast that music, and most of the time it's songs without words, right? Or things that lift my spirits. But the thing is, when I walk through, like, let's say Toronto General Hospital, and I'm walking through there, I got the earphones on, but what brings me the most joy is that I make sure that I look at people in the eyes when I'm walking by, because I know they're suffering too. And I just try to give them a smile. Like if I'm not wearing a mask, like back then, like I would smile, or I'd smile with my eyes, because I know that smile actually helps them starts to help them, raise their serotonin levels and help them get through what they're getting through. Music is just one of the tools that I always use to just get out of a funk.
Music can change your mood, literally as simple as soon as you hear those frequencies, it changes your mood. And that's something that I found incredible, just like understanding how does sound literally change my mood. Like things, like you think about what it is. What is music? It's sound. It's sound waves things are just flowing in the air. They hit your eardrum, and somehow our brain takes that and converts it into a feeling. Have you ever seen those silent headphone parties?
Yeah.
Okay, not only are they hilarious to watch, but it takes away the music from the environment, right? So you can watch the whole, like, people dancing, and it's funny because you're like you don't hear the music, so it's just them moving randomly. I've done that on my own before the headphone things, when I was in clubs and you're just looking at people and just imagine there's no music. I actually met a friend who's deaf in a club way back in the day, and I was like, "How are you even here? Like, how do you?" And he touched the bass. He took my hand and touched the bass speaker, so I could feel the vibration, and that's how he was vibing off the vibrations.
Wow.
And so it made me think about, like, how would it be if you couldn't even hear? So I was watching people, and then they just look funny. They're like moving their bodies, and there's no music, and that was what kind of the headphone party was like. But what I realized is, it's just like the sounds are literally making their bodies move. And I've done that with drums, where I can see I'm hitting a drum, my bass drum and my floor tom and my snare, and I'm doing something where it's rhythmic, kind of like a calypso beat or something, and I see the bodies moving, and I'm like, wow, I'm literally creating something that's affecting them from far. Like I'm doing that from just making a rhythm. It's crazy how it can affect people. So yeah, that sort of stuff amazed me, and that's kind of where I found. I think I fell in love with just like the ability to make people dance, make people smile, and make people happy. That's where music really gets me. But then also comfort. It's like a warm blanket. It's like a nice warm blanket for like times when you're sad, because I've been there. It happened through heartbreak, and it happened through some emotional times in my life where I just sat there and I'm like, this song is just like, yes, Coldplay has that effect on me. The one I was thinking about is "Fix You" by Coldplay. I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Yeah,
them,
yeah,
but when you try your best but you don't succeed,
yeah.
it's like this sad thing where you're like kind of almost sappy, but it feels so good to listen to that. So those are moments where I really appreciate, and yeah, I'm just happy I can be part of that. If I can be there for someone's life in that respect, I'd love to be that person. I'd love to be the singer and artist that brings people together. I'd love to be the music that when people hear, you're at their first concert and you're like, oh, I remember I met that girl at this concert, or I met that, whatever, that guy or whatever. You found your significant other, or just opportunity for people to connect and find new friends and that sort of thing.
And you've met somebody at some event too, right? That's how we show up.
Yeah,
When we
yeah.
show up, things happen. Like,
Literally, almost everybody in my entire life is connected through me, through music to some extent. It's funny, most people I know, music's got me into that circle, and so that's where it all comes together. I like back in high school, I connected with everybody because I love all kinds of music, and I love to find out what is it about a certain song or a certain type of music that makes you like it, because I want to include that bit of AI, if you call it, like that thing that makes them happy, or that thing that makes them like it, included in my music, so that I can get everyone to like everything.
yeah.
Because in a sense that would kind of create the unifying song for everybody. I don't think there is one. Maybe there is. That's the optimist in me. I found like people like Bob Marley were able to get close to that. Everyone likes a Bob Marley reggae song, but then there might be one person who doesn't. Michael Jackson was that other person for me. Very few people have that huge reach, but yeah, that's where I strive.
I think you're getting there.
Wow, thank you.
I think some of your tracks really there's an emotion behind it. And emotion is what brings people together. Emotion is what connects us. Emotion is something that elevates us when we're in a time of need, especially when we're dealing with mental health. For me personally, I'm very careful nowadays of what music and when I listen to it. Like there was one show, I don't even remember what it's called, but I got so mad at that show because it messed with my emotions, and I'm an empath, right? And it's like, I won't watch the next season. Like,
oh, wow.
I kind of want to see what happened, but on the other hand, I was just like so hurt. That means they did a good job.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it means that like it did something. Like it was just like that feeling. I did not need that feeling. It's just, the thing is like, it messed with my emotions because I allowed it to, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is we can allow things to mess with our emotions, or we can allow things to actually elevate them, right? And so when you listen to a song that's upbeat, or it has like a vibe to it or whatever, it gets you going, gets you moving, right? Like when you're at the gym, like even a song like heavy metal or whatever can help motivate you in the gym, right?
Yeah.
Can help push you more and more, because it like gets you angry a little bit, right?
Yeah.
But if you're going through an angry time right now, listening to more angry music is just going to make you more angry, right?
Well, I wouldn't say it makes you more angry. I think, especially as a drummer, I get to hit things really hard and get that frustration out, or get that anger out. I think it's transforming energy into something creative. So it's not necessarily making you more angry, though music can make you feel a certain way. I think it also lets you use that sort of energy in that music to release it through the music and feel it for a second and then let it go.
Oh, 100%. It's like releasing.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
There is music that makes me into a different vibe that I don't actually like. So there's some music where, and I don't want to put a music genre on a negative. I don't want to give it a negative context, but there's some music where I can listen to it, but the frequencies, based on like the highs and the lows, the lowers are very like heavy, and sometimes can get so heavy that it's like, okay, this is making me feel a little bit more like dark. And then there's music where it could be very high and it's angelic, but then it gets so spacey that you're like, okay, where are we going with this? And then so it doesn't matter. Both sides can be, I think it's using them very carefully. Frequencies are very, very amazing to work with. The musicians' paintbrush.
And I've done a lot of healing work with frequencies, like different sound frequencies. Like there's different sound healing techniques, and there's also like there was a clinic I used to go to. They were using sound, to calm the mind and everything, different frequencies and beats and stuff. So yeah, for sure, there is a narrative out there that I've discovered that about artists coming from a place of pain, that's how they create, and because of that, then it takes them on this journey of mental illness. It just makes it normal, this narrative or this stigma, which is not exactly true, because sometimes we can create from a place of love as well and wholeness, and it doesn't mean that it has to come from pain, whether it be a painter or a singer or whatever. Sometimes there's that emotion of pain shows up in a song or whatnot. As an artist yourself, when you create, do you feel that it comes from a place of love all the time, or sometimes you're creating something from pain that actually you put out there to share with the world?
Yeah, Out of Love is one of my songs that I first wrote out of heartbreak. Pain completely drove that song. Tell Me Why Am I Being Punished So Much was one of the lyrics. That was one of the songs that helped me realize, wow, this can make me feel better. Even just writing the song and turning it into a melodic thing that sounds nice. The irony there is the pain is the lyrics, but the melody is sweet and it makes you nice. So that's where I started writing from pain. I've actually had some moments where I spoke with a vocal coach, Mika Barnes. He's really cool. I'm going to shout him out. But yeah, he gave me a suggestion. He said, you know what, write the darkest, everything that you're thinking in your head, just write it. You don't have to release it, just write it, create it. That opened up a whole thing for me. I have a lot of thoughts that go on in here. And I just started writing, and things that I didn't want people to hear actually started coming out. I started writing things where I'm like, I don't know if I should let the, and especially when, my wife and her parents and all my family are like, oh, we want to hear your new song, and here I am talking about stuff that's like not promoting being monogamous or things like just all these different thoughts that are natural that came into my head that I learned how to, I guess, approach them, how to look at them now and realize what they are, and how to conduct my own behavior. That's all based on my moralities and my things that I think are good. But the lyrics are still real. They're true. And I had to write them, and I had to sing them and record them and create a whole song, and then not put them out and not share them. I think I did post them on my stories one time for people to hear, and a lot of people were like, wow, I really like that one. And I was like, that's the one that I don't want to share. I sang it at a bar the other day, and because it feels good when people can understand and relate to you, and that's a really good moment because as artists sometimes we are actually the ones to be the voice for people who can't say the things that are on their mind or can't talk about things because that's not their personality or that's not who they are. Whereas artists are maybe more vulnerable than others who are willing to put themselves out there and share that so that people can connect and relate and then start a conversation.
100%. And I've noticed that usually when we doubt ourselves, what we should and shouldn't put out there is usually what gets the biggest impact.
Yeah. Well, this song Poor Boy is about me not being in a place where I think I should be. I'm at an age where I'm like, I should be, I should have already had my mansion and my cars and all the materialistic things that I think are important, not important and important at the same time. And everything, everything that goes with, the lifestyle and vision I had for myself by this age. And then looking Instagram posts from all of my friends who are either touring the world or performing with the biggest stars in the world, and just seeing all the successes of comparison, and successes that I compare myself to, and those are the worst, because then I'm like, wow, August wrote songs for Bieber and wrote songs for BTS, and then I have this guy who plays for Lady Gaga, and like it goes on and on and on, and I keep looking at them, and I'm excited and happy for them, and then I'm like, what happened to me? And you know what is funny story is I met Justin Bieber in 2009 at Summer Rush in Canada's Wonderland backstage. It was Akon there, Carl Wolf, Danny Fernandez, a bunch of people, and I just happened to be backstage because I actually used to work for Z103.5, but I was there because my buddy was playing guitar for Danny Fernandez, and he just brought me in, and I ended up being back there, hanging back. It started raining, and so I had my hood on, and I was talking to the bus driver, and he was really. I find that when you just are genuine relationships with people, you really stride a lot farther. So I was talking to this bus driver, and he was just like, "Hey man, you want to see Akon's bus?" I'm like, "Cool, yeah, sure." And so he took me to Akon's bus. So took me in there. I saw his Akon in the back, and then as I was coming out, little Bieber kid comes up to me. He's like, "Yo, what up?" And he gave me one of these hugs, and I was like, "Who's this kid?" And I remember girls screaming for him. It was like this little kid, I'm like, cool. I'm like happy for him. Had I known this kid was going to be the biggest thing in the world, and now I'm covering his songs at my own show. It's just like I watched his life from 2009, and I watched my life and where it went. And I met my wife. I'm extremely happy. I've had beautiful relationships, traveling the world, doing different things in my own journey. But yeah, like he's worth $200 million at some point, and then he's like married with, and is preaching, like is an advocate for Jesus and God, and just a well-rounded human being who's preaching or promoting good things in the world now. And I just see the great human he's become. Inspired me great. It like literally has transformed me. I've actually found faith even more now because of Bieber's stand for it. He's so strong in his faith and so strong in his beliefs and who he is. I was like, wow, Bieber can do it. I guess I can do it. Like it became almost like that. I was just like, wow, this guy's really just talking about love, like his wife and his music. And so similar to that, I'm in that same world. I found before I was writing about heartbreak and about just wanting, dancing with girls and this and that, and then you find the girl you love, and then you're like, okay, what am I going to write about now? And so you have to write about. I'm like, okay, I love my girl, and it wasn't as clever and wasn't as relatable for single people who are listening to music, but I found the more I was just authentic in writing, being real, a lot of people connect either way. The more I can be clever with my lyrics, the more, I guess, relatable it'll be.
It's so important to feel what's real. I think that is the biggest lesson I've ever learned in my life, was to be able to just sit there and feel what is real. That's with pain, that's with suffering, that's with challenging, that's with doubts, that's with imposter syndrome, which we all get, right? And you looking at your idols or people that are maybe doing on a different path than you, it doesn't really necessarily mean that they're higher. It may necessarily just mean that that's their path that you're on, and you're going on this path, and you may meet again on the same path, right? But it's healthy jealousy kind of thing, right? So it's like not jealousy, but like healthy competition in a way. Yeah, as opposed to like you're not trying to compete with them, but you're trying to be you as authentic as possible, and using them as an inspiration that you can get there as well if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Right.
Thanks.
So that's
Michael Jackson says, "Study the greats and get better."
I love how you're quoting Michael Jackson this whole time.
I can do a whole podcast, a whole thing on Michael Jackson and how he's influenced. Like me traveling all the way to LA to meet Michael Jackson. I went down there. I'm like, I'm going to play drums for Michael Jackson. I'm going to go somehow meet him. And I ended up meeting his backup vocalist, his guitar player, one of his dancers, good friend of mine. Now I'm still in touch with Romeo, who's a backup vocalist. And Romeo's been on every tour. He's taught Chris Brown, Trey Songz, like you name it. He was on Star Maker, P. Diddy Star Maker, The Voice. I could go on. And he's just such a good homie. Like right now, he's just like a good friend who I can call. I went to Vegas. He lives in Vegas. I got to go there and meet up with my other buddy while we were I wanted to make a song, and we're like, my boy Streeter plays drums for Jennifer Lopez, and we're like, hey, you want to meet up in Vegas? He's like, yeah. And Romeo let me use his spot. Went to his house, recorded, made some music, and came back. And just like, he's just such a good mentor, always giving me pointers. But that came out of me trying to go see Michael Jackson. And yeah, when he died, I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I thought I was going to play drums, so my whole dream shattered. Everything went. And I was like, what am I going to do now? So I said, okay, I'm gonna sing and do a tribute. So I created a whole show with me singing and dancing with choreographies, like all the dancers there, and then I performed it, and I got so much wings from that because I realized, like, man, if I can do this at this quality of level, I got to really put in more effort into my originals and try and make it to that level. So that's an ever growing ambition of mine, is to try and play and create music on that level of Michael Jackson.
It's a powerful dream. It's like, just, it got you to where you are today, and it got you to do that tribute and everything. And I know what it feels like to not to be able to do something with someone that, like, perform with someone that you really wanted to, and they're not around anymore. Because then
Yeah.
you're like, what the hell? Like, what happened to my law of attraction and all that stuff, right? like the guy's gone. How am I supposed to attract that?
Yeah.
Where's Dale Carnegie when you need him now? so so I know what it feels like when it's like you lose someone. Like, personally, like, my grandfather said one day we're going to run together, right?
Oh,
And he was pushing me in my wheelchair back then in LA when I used to use it all the time. And he's not around anymore.
mm,
And, like, no matter how much I used to fight to get off my crutches, now that I'm on them, like, I fought to get off my wheelchair, like, he's not here anymore. But it doesn't mean I still can't achieve that goal. And he'll be running next to me in spirit. And I believe that, I'm sure Michael Jackson was standing with you on that stage when you did that tribute. It seems that you have a lot of faith and a lot of trust in God and stuff. And does that help you get through some troubled times, especially when you're having, like, heaviness in the mind, or mental health, or things that need to be elevated?
you know what? That's a new thing for me. I'm even catching myself talking about faith in God right now in this conversation that I don't normally. And every single person I've ever met that I respect very highly, who has made it to the top of the top of the top of the top in this industry, has shown humbleness and shown that they have faith, and that's inspired me. The comfort of knowing that you're not the only person trying to survive in this game, and knowing that there's someone you can lean on, someone you can talk to, that's so helpful, because sometimes not everyone is available for a phone call or a Zoom chat or something. You just have to find, who do you talk? Close your eyes. Thank you, God, our Father. Whatever you got to do, say it. Talk to someone in your past. Talk to someone in your life right now. But just through closing your eyes, praying, meditating, finding that time when you can just say, you know what, I'm going to breathe right now, and then take your breath and say what you have to say. And I find it comforts me a lot, especially in my moments, because I find it, we never like anxiety, for example. Like we kind of briefly talked about it, but I get anxiety attacks. I get moments where I was in the movies the other day, and I just felt like the world was closing in, and I had to get out of that movie theater, and I was like, I can't do it. I gotta go, and like everything in my head's like, I'm gonna die, or I'm losing my breath, I can't breathe properly, or all the different scary things that come in, and then I just breathe, I drink some water, and remember what happened. Did I get good sleep that night? Did I eat that day? Did I get? Am I running high on caffeine? Is there too much caffeine in my system? Am I drinking alcohol, for example, or is there any any stressful things going on in my time right now? And then it kind of helps me to gauge where I am in my like radar, like to where I need to worry. I'm like, oh, okay, of course these things are happening, so of course you're going to feel that way. So relax, it's okay. It's just a temporary thing that you're feeling because of this, and this. And the sooner you just calm down and breathe, and remember to breathe. Breathing is so basic, and it's so hard to remember. Like, you literally just, and that little thing there, not only will it help you sing better, but it just literally helps you. And that it really is important that people remember to breathe when they need to. It helps a lot. And drink water. Stay hydrated. I'm not even joking. I'm like, drinking water, good, healthy diet, sleep, All the basics are so important to maintain your health, mental health.
Yeah, that I couldn't have said it better. Perfect.
I used to laugh at mental health, to be honest. I used to look at him like, yo, who's this guy? Oh my god, I got a mental health problem. Oh my god. I was like, I used to see all these posts like, oh, I need a self-help day or a self-care day. And I was like, these girls are so weak and so pathetic. And I used to literally think all this stuff. And because I was raised on like, yo, tough it up, bro. Just like get with it. And that whole mentality is just, I've now realizing how important it is and how wrong I was in the past. Just I just uneducated on how important it is, because now I realize, oh, it's just like anything else. Take a you get a cold, do whatever you got to, take the medicine, blah blah blah. You get a headache, all the same things apply here. You have an anxiety attack, or if you have a stressful time, take the necessary time it is to fix yourself. And now CAMH has some really cool resources. I'm looking it up, all these different things. My family's been having like medications that you can try for different things. I know some people have taken some meds for ADHD. So for like, there's so many different things, and then there's like natural things. There's so many different methods, and you find your kind of secret recipe.
Yeah, you got to find what works for you.
Yeah.
And yeah, today I shared something. It was like just a list of mental health resources for musicians, for artists. There's so many resources out there, and it's just so amazing how much help there is out there. And also, like, I feel it's so important that we no longer have to suffer in silence, and what you were thinking before about looking at someone that needs a self-care day or mental health, or it's a stigma that needs to be broken, because you can't just put a bandage on mental health, right? It's not something that you can just like go to the doctor and fix it. It's finding the source of it and working backwards to find out what is causing that in the first place, what trauma from the past or whatever it is, to bring it forward in order to feel what is real, in order to heal, right? And it's an ongoing process, right? We're going to have our challenges. We're going to have our days, right? We're going to be in it some days that we just don't see otherwise. And we're going to cry and we're going to scream, and that's okay. You're going to play the drums as hard as you can, because you're going to release that, right? And then you're going to, we're going to put on an event, or you're going to sing a song that's just going to help you to get through whatever you're going through, but also inspire others to do the same. And at the end of the day, you're right. Like God or whoever it is that you pray to, or whatever it is conversation you need to have, maybe somebody's not there, but there are helplines out there. There are places, there are resources. There's so many resources right now. There's even politicians now out there that are pushing for support for mental health in the hospitals, right? And to have like integrative medicine stations and all that stuff, right? And it doesn't matter. Like, there's nothing wrong with taking medication. There's nothing wrong with doing what works for you, because when you find what works for you, then you can encourage someone else to find what works for them.
There was this one thing, I didn't want to keep rambling on, but there was this one moment that I saw someone very close to me go from like complete panic, complete disorder, complete not understanding, having one tablet and completely flawless. I was like, what happened just now? How could one little tablet completely change the whole chemical balance of my, like, I can't understand it. And then, so it boggles my, because when the person's not on that tablet, they're like completely just in a completely disoriented state in it, and it makes no sense. So I'm like, how can this be possible? There has to be some way we can help to bring this person back to their place of like normality and just like their good, exciting self. So the problem is, you can't just have tablets every day. You can. Some people live on tablets every day. There are. I'm learning more about that sort of things. Right? You can like be on, but then they say some are addictive. Some are. Your body becomes immune to them, or your tolerance goes up. So there's kind of things that affect that. So really trying to find natural ways is one of the things that I'm, always looking forward. But I'm very supportive of the medical field, and trying to see what they know, and the science. We got to learn from all of them. But
I'm a strong advocate for alternative medicine, and
yeah,
and finding natural ways for whatever it is, whether it be meditation or breathing or supplementation or IV therapy or vitamins or whatever it is. However, we need both, right? We need them to complement each other. And yeah, like there are medications that our bodies may become used to them, so it doesn't work as well as it should. But if it's going to help somebody at that moment, in order for them to find something that can help them long term, for sure, I'm all for it. And in my case, for example, like I haven't taken painkillers for years now, right? But I know, like after the second night, if the pain tolerance, I have a high pain tolerance, very high pain tolerance from what I've gone through, and if the second night I'm not sleeping after the first night, then I'm going to take the Advil and I'm going to get my body to calm and rest, because in order for us to heal, we have to be in a state of calmness. Like you said, like coming together as community and meeting people is just like, that's what drives me. It's not about inspiring people on the stages. It's more the people that don't say anything. It's more the stories that you hear after that say, hey, like I've been listening to your stuff or I've been reading your books and it's been helping. It's helping me get through what I'm getting through. Like, that's what we should be driven towards. The people that don't say anything but are watching.
Yeah.
There was a story once. I was about to speak on a stage once, and somebody came up to me once and they told me that their girlfriend was listening to my stuff a lot and it was really helping them get through the pain that they're going through. And I said, wow, I mean, that's so great. I'm so happy. What is her name? I can reach out to her. And he's like, she's not here anymore. She passed away, but you helped her get through her stuff. And I was about to, it's huge. That I'll never forget that in my life. And I was about to get on a stage and about to talk about whatever I was about to talk about. And whatever I was going to talk about is just, I threw it out because it's just like, that's what it's about. It's about the message. It's about the people. It's about serving humanity.
There's actually a thing I learned about performing throughout the years. Like, you want to put on the best show, you practice, you do all the things you can to put on your big event or so your performance. Like, for example, I've done shows where I thought I was the best in the world. I'm like, yeah, I was so good, I hit this and everything. But then the audience left and they're like, yeah, that's pretty good, nice, good job. And then they went home. I'm like, what? That was like the best thing. How could you not appreciate all the stuff? I just did the best drum solo. I just did the best. Everything was the greatest for me, and not realizing it wasn't about me until there's moments when I was like, oh, this is the crappiest. I'm sick. I was literally sick one of the gigs. I remember being sick. And I was like playing the bare minimum, just doing the the very least I could do just to make sure I did the job. And someone came up to me like, that was the best show ever. Oh my god, blah blah. I'm like, what the heck are you listening to? Like, what? How is this possible? And then I realized it's not about me. It's about them. It's literally about the audience and how they feel. And when you show up to that stage and perform, not only are you there to inspire, not only are you there to do your job and just make sure you do what you practice for your own sake, but when you go there, people are coming out of their house, like how they're going, like when you go to watch a movie, you're there to be entertained. You're going there to be, you want to feel good yourself as the audience. So the person on stage, no matter what they do, you're going to want the best. It's like when you see you're looking for a red car, all the red cars appear on the road, right? They're looking for those good moments in your show so that they can feel good and leave home and be happy. So as long as you deliver the best thing you possibly can, go all out, be authentic, and just don't try to be fake, unless it works for you, if you're an actor. But if, just do what you can, and then all of a sudden people, they take the good points and then they love it, and they get inspired and they have the greatest time and they leave. Sometimes they may not even tell you. They may not even tell you that it was great, but they left and it really affected them. So yeah. Those are some really cool and really key things I learned from the performing world.
100%. It's all about the message. It's all about
100% of the fact that it's about the audience, not only about the message. It's just what I'm saying is it's key about that the audience is in a place to receive what they came to receive. Yes. And sometimes you can be you're just able to facilitate the space, an event for them to receive what they needed. You never know. One eye contact in one person's in the audience changed their whole life. One moment in that, because that's what Michael Jackson was for me. Bringing it back to Michael Jackson, there was that moment on stage. He pops out, standing there with his head to the side. There's sparks flying. Takes off his shades, and just turns his head to the side, and then another 1,000 people faint, and like he just stands there, commands attention. That was a moment for me. I was like, what am I like? I can't believe what am I watching there. Another moment is when he's singing, "Looking Out," and he points his finger and he hits the light, and the light comes on, and I'm like, he just orchestrated the production with his dance moves, with the music. Boom, another moment in my life. Another one when he's just dancing and like beatboxing, kind of just like there's so many things where I can just go back to remembering his moments in concerts, and I'm just watching. I'm like, whoa, and something hit me. It just like that moment. I'm like, I need to do something like that. There's those moments are they come in anything. They come in movies. They come in TV shows. They come in songs. They come in pictures. They come in anything. There's so many ways to get that little nugget, whatever they call it, that little thing, just that moment, and you get it, and it takes you somewhere. That feeling is unmatchable.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. There's a prayer that I do now all the time before I speak to someone, or like a meeting or on stage or whatever, and it's like I just ask God to, guide me what needs to be said. And just guide me what needs to be said. I'm here. This is what you want. This is what I would love, but I'm just here. I'm a conduit. I want to be a conduit, right? Somebody here needs to hear something, and I don't know what that is. So just guide me, right? And whether you're playing a song or whether you're going to talk in between a set, it's the same thing. It's like blessing the audience, because it's important. We're holding space for them no matter what. One of my other biggest lessons was like, I said goodbye to my dog, one of my dogs, years ago, 2 days before a workshop that I was hosting. And I was a mess, and I didn't know what to do. And I held it in, right? I held it in so hard. And I was like asking friends and God, I'm like, how am I supposed to hold a meditation and a workshop 2 days after this happened for the first time? I've never experienced this before, right? How am I supposed to do that without putting my pain onto them? Because my intention was not to empower them for the new year, but not, I'm going through a pain.
Yeah.
And my message from one of my friends was like, she said it loud and clear. She's like, you'll be okay, right? Because as long as you have that same attitude, it's about the audience and about, this is what your job is to do. And it worked out fine. And at the end, I taught them, and I said, I'm going through something right now, and I explained what, but I'm still able to show up in the way that I did, and then I will grieve, right? It wasn't healthy for me to put my grieving aside, because I didn't actually feel what was real, and I didn't really heal from it until later, until we found out why I was holding it in. But that's for another story. But like, our emotions definitely affect our physical body. There's no question whatsoever. When you say you elevate with your music, and you say that people's vibes change and they feel good, there's 100%, because that helps their emotions, and therefore it helps to heal. So that's why music is medicine to me.